Where in the world are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments. Before we dive into this heartwarming story, hit subscribe so you'll never miss the most courageous dog tales we share every day. The air in Dallas, Texas doesn't just get hot, it gets heavy. It gets thick. It hangs on a person, a blanket of humidity that makes even the asphalt shimmer and blur like it's melting. On a day just like that, past noon, with the sun beating down on a nearly empty strip mall lot, Darius was walking back to his truck. He had just finished a long, unforgiving shift at the garage. His mind was on the cool air of his truck cab and the quiet waiting for him at home. That's when his routine shattered. A glint of sunlight on a silver sedan, parked crooked, windows all rolled up, no shade, no noise, just a baking metal box under a merciless sky. Most people would have walked right past it. In fact, a man in a business shirt was doing just that, but a flicker of movement caught Darius's eye. A shadow shifting behind the glass. He walked closer, his boots crunching on the gravel, and the horror of the situation hit him like a physical blow. There he was, a beautiful 4-month-old golden retriever puppy, curled on the back seat. His chest was rising and falling fast, his black and tan coat soaked with sweat. His tongue lolled from his mouth, dry and pale. His little paws were pressed against the window, leaving dozens of ghostly marks. It was a silent, desperate language, a plea to anyone, to everyone. A cold voice from the passing man said, "It's just a dog. Its owner will be back." Darius's entire body went cold. He was an auto mechanic who had seen a lot, but never this. Not this utter, silent despair. The dog wasn't barking, he wasn't crying, he was just staring with eyes that seemed to have already given up. There was a faint crack in the window, but Darius, with shaking hands, knew better than to touch it. The glass could shatter and hurt the dog. He pulled out his phone and called 911, giving the plate number and location. He dropped to his knees by the car and whispered through the glass, "Hang on, little one, help is coming." The dog didn't move, just pressed his forehead to the window and closed his eyes. Darius didn't know his name, but in that moment, he felt a desperate will to survive. He felt a fire inside the dog, and he knew that fire was all the dog had. The dispatcher's voice was calm, but the minutes stretched into hours. Every second felt like a lifetime as Darius knelt there, watching the ripples of heat dance behind the glass. He talked to the dog, telling him about his life, his kids, his dreams. He was talking to him about a home he might never see, about a life that was slipping away. It felt ridiculous, but he couldn't stop. He felt like the dog heard him. His ear twitched, his eyes fluttered. Then Darius heard it. The faint wail of a siren, a distant sound of hope, cutting through the oppressive silence. It was coming fast, louder and louder. He stood in the middle of the lot, waving his arms. When the two firefighters jumped out, moving with an urgency that told him they understood, Darius pointed to the dog in the back seat. One firefighter looked through the fogged window and muttered, "He's fading. Dehydrated, breathing shallow." The firefighters worked with practiced speed, but their specialized tool for prying the door handle jammed. A few tense seconds passed, feeling like an eternity. "Come on, baby, stay with us," Darius whispered. The firefighters fixed the tool, and the pop of the door unlocking was the most beautiful sound Darius had ever heard. The heat that poured out hit them like a blast furnace. One of the firefighters leaned in and gently scooped the limp body up. And just like that, the dog was in Darius's arms. The dog was burning hot, but he didn't squirm. He didn't bark. He just sagged into Darius like he'd been waiting for this moment his whole life. A firefighter said something about the nearest shelter, but Darius barely heard it. His whole world was this tiny silent dog. Then, the most unexpected sound came. A low, shaky whimper. Not fear, not pain, just relief. Darius rushed him to Maricopa County Animal Care and Control. The staff worked fast, efficient, with cooling towels and IV bags. They took him from Darius, and he followed them into the exam room like he didn't know how to stop. "He's got fire in him," one of the techs said. "He's still fighting." That's when Darius heard the name, Jax. It fit, strong, brave, a little spark of life still burning. The next day, Darius came back. And the next. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the dog. When Jax saw him, his ears twitched. He lifted his head just a few inches. He sniffed Darius's hand, then nudged his nose against his wrist. Jax wasn't just healing, he was reaching out. Then came the twist. Darius didn't know someone had filmed the rescue. A bystander must have caught it from across the parking lot and uploaded it. "You've gone viral," a volunteer told him. The clip was grainy and shaky, overlaid with soft piano music and a simple caption. He waited and someone came. But the comments weren't all positive. A wave of criticism soon followed, accusing Darius of staging the rescue for fame. The situation escalated when a woman appeared, claiming to be Jax's owner, alleging he was stolen and threatening legal action. The shelter staff were sympathetic, but their hands were tied. Darius now had to fight not just for the dog's life, but for the truth. The comment from the video, "He didn't just save him, he saved him too," was a truth Darius didn't want to admit. He had gone back to work, but something in him had changed. The bay doors at the garage felt different. The silence at home was no longer comfortable. It was hollow. He watched Jax learn to play again, cautiously, like joy was a new concept he wasn't sure he could trust. And every time someone asked if he was available for adoption, something in Darius's chest twisted. "He's not ready," he'd say automatically, now knowing he was fighting for both of them. Then the serious inquiries started coming in. A young, wealthy couple flew in from out of state. The shelter arranged a private meet and greet, and Darius was asked to be present for a familiar presence. Darius stood back, watching as they knelt and spoke softly to Jax, holding out treats and offering a life of luxury. But Jax became visibly distressed, whimpering and backing away from the couple. Then, instead of going to them, he trotted straight to Darius and leaned into his leg, a silent plea for safety. The couple, though disappointed, understood. That night Darius lay awake, thinking of every reason he couldn't do it. His schedule, his kids, his quiet, predictable life. But when was the last time any of that felt full? He remembered Jax in that car, alone, waiting, and he remembered the moment he lifted him out, how Jax didn't resist. That dog didn't care about his doubts. He had already decided. The adoption counselor, a compassionate woman, had a heart-to-heart with Darius. "I'm not sure a mechanic's life is the best for a traumatized dog," she began, adding another hurdle. But Darius stood his ground, now fueled by a powerful determination. Maybe it was time he did too. The counselor, moved by his resolve and by Jax's clear preference, slid the folder toward him. His name was already printed at the top. "He's yours, Darius," she said softly. Jax was curled on a fleece mat in the corner, his eyes watching him without blinking. When Darius reached for the pen, Jax stood slowly, quietly, walked over and placed his paw on the table beside his. Jax wasn't asking for anything, he was telling him, "I'm ready." And so, Darius signed. He didn't have any loud sobs, just a few silent tears that fell before he even realized they'd come. The staff clapped quietly. Someone handed him a little bag with Jax's vaccination records and a new red collar with a tiny silver heart on it. "Welcome home, Jax," Darius whispered. Jax wagged his tail, not fast, but steady, like he already knew what the words meant. Now, every morning, Darius opens the door to his garage and Jax trots in like he owns the place. He does a quick circle, sniffs the toolboxes, then settles beneath his workbench like it's his second home. His clients adore him. One guy, a regular, said, "You've got a miracle on your hands." He was right. It's been 3 months since Darius brought him home. Jax is fully healed now, stronger, playful, almost fearless, but he still has his moments. He sometimes flinches at the sound of a car door closing or a car driving by, a lingering echo of his trauma. But he'll always look to Darius for reassurance, putting his nose to the glass and then turning back, as if to check. Still here, still safe, always. Darius's kids adore Jax. His daughter says he's the most emotionally intelligent creature on Earth. His son is teaching him tricks. He's terrible at rollover, but he's mastered stay. Maybe because it's his favorite thing, just being near. And Darius? He thought he was saving him. But he didn't realize Jax was pulling him out too. Out of the routine, out of the silence, out of the numbness he'd lived with for years. He didn't realize how badly he needed something to choose him back. Jax, that little dog once limp in his arms and close to fading, now wakes him up every morning with a cold nose and tail thumps that rattle the walls. He doesn't just live with Darius, he brings him back to life every single day. This little dog's journey from abandonment to rescue shows how powerful compassion can be. It's a story about a little dog who taught a man that healing isn't just about survival. It's about trust. It's about learning that not all doors stay closed, and not all people turn away. It's about realizing that saving one life can be the very thing that saves your own. If Jax's story moved you, please share it. You never know who might be watching, or what silent life might still be waiting behind a pane of glass. If you want more stories of hope and resilience, be sure to hit that subscribe button and join our family. And we want to hear from you. What's a story of hope that you've been a part of? Share it in the comments below. Let's all be a voice for those who can't speak for themselves. Thank you for watching.